Hello, everyone. Welcome to Frontline Football. I'm sorry that we missed last week. We were very busy last week. But we have some more news for you to cover. Since we've been off, every single time that we've sat down with each other, there's always been something new happening. I'm going to try to list it all off here. And if I miss something, tell me in the comments because I don't really want to miss anything here. So, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. Aaron Rodgers signs with the Green Bay Packers, his 4-year extension, while Davante Adams gets traded to the Raiders. What will their season look like next year? The LA Chargers signed Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. How will that defense be shaping up next year? We'll find out. Russell Wilson gets traded to the city of Denver. Denver also has a fire in their stadium today. Wow, they are really hot. They did let Russ cook in their stadium, and he burned down the kitchen. Okay, now next, Deshaun Watson gets traded to the Browns. The Browns guaranteed him $260 million. That's why he probably went to Cleveland, because there's nothing else to do in Cleveland. Miami trades for Tyreek Hill, which is really not a hard decision whenever it's New York or Miami. So, next, let's go to Atlanta. Atlanta tried to get Deshaun. He didn't bite. So, they trade Matt Ryan to the Colts. Well, who do they sign as his backup? Well, that's Marcus Mariota. He is his replacement for this year. So, that seems to have wrapped up. Oh, we forgot about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston signs. Juju signs to the Chiefs. Winston signs to the Saints. Marquise Valdez-Scantling signs to the Chiefs. Also, the Packers lose almost all their receiving corps, and they also lose Darius Smith to the Vikings. And that should be it. Okay, that's it. And let's get this video started with.
Welcome guys to Frontline Football. I'm Zach, and we're gonna be doing the good teams during this free agency and the bad teams during free agency. I'm gonna hand this one off to Jack because he has a lot of good for teams.
All right, let's get right into the winners, and I think we'll start out with third place, I guess you want to call it that, and that will be the Las Vegas Raiders. This is mainly because they did a lot of good stuff this offseason. Obviously, you had Davante Adams for very good value for the most part. So now you add a number one playmaker to go with Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. Nice trio there. You extended Max Crosby, which is a big W. He's one of the more underrated pass rushers in the league. Gets a lot of pressures. Very good. And you signed Chandler Jones to make one of the most dangerous tandems in the league. So that was also kind of fun. You didn't really lose a lot either. You added a couple things, lost a few. Another big one is they traded Rock Ya-Sin from the Colts for Yannick, who they replaced with Chandler Jones, so it's not like you're losing a lot there. But overall, the Raiders also did keep a lot of important people around as well. Signed a couple solid pieces for depth, including Demarcus Robinson, who was a solid receiver on the Chiefs, and pretty much improved their team significantly. They added another pass rusher to go next to Max Crosby. They added Derek Carr's old friend Davante Adams, and they fixed up their secondary a little bit. So overall, I think they were major winners for the most part. Where they hit home runs for the most part, and it's a big win. Second big winner is Miami. Now, last week, you wouldn't say they were a winner. You'd probably say they were a runner-up, or maybe not a winner at all. But then a lot of stuff happened. Of course, Tyreek Hill got traded for decent value. I mean, you can't lose with Tyreek Hill. So that was very good. Signed Teron Armstead, one of the best left tackles in football, because, Miami's had an O-line problem for years. That was another very good signing. Then you added Connor Williams to be your starting left guard, and you added Cedric Wilson to be a wide receiver 3. Not to mention you added some very nice people to the running back tandem, who's been arguably one of the worst in the league over the last couple of years. You added Chase Edmonds, a very solid player from the Cardinals, and you added Raheem Mostert, the speediest man alive, except when he's hurt most times. But we'll see if he can stay healthy. That's a big add. Not to mention they also added Alec Ingold, a fullback. A very good fullback, though. Like one of the 3 fullbacks that matters in the league still. So I think that's another big positive. Overall theme of the Dolphins offseason was no more excuses for Tua. They added the playmakers. They started to add the protection. They did it all. They got the cool Mike McDaniels to run the system. So if Tua's bad this year, I don't know what to tell you. He's just bad. And the last and biggest winner here is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. A lot of good stuff happening here. They acquired Khalil Mack for a second-round pick, and they keep Joey Bosa, so you create one of the best pass-rushing tandems in the league. Not to mention Khalil Mack can come in and fix your issues against the run. He's one of the best run edge defenders in the league. So that's another big positive. Another thing you did, you signed Mike Williams to a new deal. Perfect. You get Justin Herbert to keep his weapons, keep the continuity alive. Along with that, big move, J.C. Jackson's coming back. or not coming back. He's arriving from the Patriots. This is an all-pro. Leads the league in interception over the last few years, besides last year. Very good player. Fix your cornerback core. Add to Asante Samuel and potentially Chris Harris if they could sell him on coming back. There are also a couple solid signings to go on, like they signed Gerald Everett, just a master pass-catching tight end to add to the passing attack. And last but not least, they added Rams nose tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Underrated part of Staley's defense on the Rams is coming to the Chargers, run-stuffing nose tackle. So basically what the Chargers did is they kept the continuity on offense, added a couple weapons, and then fixed the defense a lot by adding pass rush and helping against the run. So all I got to say is this is a big positive and probably the biggest one of the league. They can elevate themselves to a high level if Herbert takes one more jump to be an MVP caliber player, and then Brandon Staley gets a little smarter, which I expect him to do. Some underrated winners I'll go into real quick is Buccaneers. They resurrected Tom Brady, stole a Patriots starting guard for pennies, and they did a couple other things. Signed Russell Gage. So they resurrected Tom Brady, stole a couple starting guards, and signed some people back. So good on them. Bills, another underrated winner. They started to fix their O-line, signing a guy from the Titans. I think his name was Roger Stafford. Then they added Von Miller. Pass rush. More pass rushers. Very good. It's an underrated winner 3. It's going to be the Jets. They added to their secondary. They added some tight ends, which is good. Their tight ends suck. Another underrated winner. Bengals. One more. That's one they added to their O-line. They got Alex Kappa and a guy from the Patriots, I believe. Ted Karras. 2 offensive linemen to help out Joe Burrow, along with La'el Collins to start at right tackle. Very good stuff. And last but not least, Browns. Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper. If those guys are going to be on the field together, it's going to be very good. Those were my winners. What are yours, Josh?
Okay, well, my winners for this free agency class go like this. First, we're going to start off with number 3, which for me is the Houston Texans. I believe that it's not what they got right now, but it's what they're getting in the future. With the Watson trade, this will really help their rebuild. All they have to do is draft correctly, and this could be seen as a win for both teams. Now, the Browns are my 4th place winner with Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson, but will move them up all the way to 2nd or 3rd is if they do something with that and make it to the Super Bowl. So, my 2nd place winner for this is the Miami Dolphins. Like Jack said, there is no reason why the Dolphins should be bad next year. Unless Tua has a terrible season, then there is no excuse. This is the basically do or die time for Tua. He has everything around him that he needs to succeed. If he doesn't succeed this year, it is because he stinks as a quarterback. It's not because of anybody or anything else. So, next, let's get to my number 1 winner, which is the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I can really choose any West team here, but I'm going to go with the Chargers here because they really established what they needed and got their needs taken care of. 2 of them with big signings like Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. One they got from a trade, the other they got from free agency. And others which are very under the radar like Sebastian Joseph Day. And they just were able to get their needs and fill them with the people who they need. Now, if I'm comparing the strength level of the AFC West next year, I will compare it to Barry Bonds. It is roided up and ready to go. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of beat-up games. And also you got the AFC South on your schedule. So that's free. That's free wins right there. Four of them for free. And you get to make your team look good. So my 5th place team, the team that barely didn't make it in, and 6th place. 5th place is the Bengals. Joe Burrow absolutely lost his mind when he found out that the people that he was getting have allowed less sacks in the season than Joe Burrow was sacked in the Titans game, which was 9 times. And next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just did some voodoo magic. That's why Arian said that he wasn't scared, because Brady was coming back. He got tired of his family, and now he's coming back to football. So those are my winners. Zach?
All right, I'm going to be real quick with this because my number 3 is the Browns. I think the Browns getting Deshaun Watson is a really good signing, especially because this team has a really solid defense and they also got a new weapon in Amari Cooper. The only thing I would say the Browns should get to move them up a little further is probably get another good pass catcher for Deshaun Watson, because their second and third options are kind of lackluster, but that leaves them at the 3 spot because of those signings. Next is Bills. Bills improved on this team, which I thought was very surprising when I saw that they were signing Von Miller, a really good pass rusher that gives huge pressure with Ed Oliver on the other side. They have Tre'Davious White coming back. I think the only knack I have on the Bills is they probably need a second corner just in case they have to deal with Tyreek Hill, because they now have to deal with him 2 times a year. You'll hear about that a little later by me. Next is Chargers. Chargers had a really good season this year. They got J.C. Jackson, the best corner in the league. They got Khalil Mack, which is a top 5 pass rusher in the league still, with Joey Bosa on the other side. I know that they didn't sign him. They re-signed Mike Williams, which gives Herbert another pass catcher, and also they got Gerald Everett, which is a really good pass catcher for Russell Wilson last year, and he's been pretty solid, so I think that this will help the Chargers a lot. You probably will see them winning the division. Now, the number 4 spot for me is the Dolphins. They signed some pretty good prospects. The only person I don't trust, and the reason they're not up this higher, is because of Tua. I don't trust them all the way, which leads them to not making this list, because top 3 is usually playoff contenders, in my opinion. So, Dolphins get here. I love the Tyreek Hill trade. They didn't have to give up too much to get him. So yeah. Raiders, I love what they did to give Devontae Adams. I liked having Hunter Renfrow. Chandler Jones, I'm kind of sad that he's leaving the Cardinals, but other than that, I think that they had a really solid offseason. So yeah, and then Broncos, they're my number 6. They got Russell Wilson. They got Randy Gregory, I believe that guy's name is. And they had a really solid offseason too. All these West teams are doing very well on their just team side, and I think that a lot of these teams could win the division, from Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos. The Bengals are my 7th team. They worked on their O-line, and they got it a lot better, and they're starting to become this really dominant force. If these O-linemen really work out in Cincinnati, they can have Joe Burrow protect it, and then Joe Burrow can make more plays with Jamar Chase and all of them. So, yeah. Number 8 is the New York Jets. I like the Jets a lot, and I like what they did this year, especially getting Lakeland Tomlinson and a bunch of defensive pieces for them. And offensively, they improved by getting C.J. Uzomah. So I think that Zach Wilson will have an easier time this year. And this is not even counting the draft yet. They'll probably move up when we do our draft video, because they're going to have a pretty solid draft, in my opinion. Number 9 is the Ravens. I don't like to have this many people that are that good, but teams just want to sign people. And the Ravens didn't care about their offense. Their offense was pretty good already. The thing that they worked on was getting their defense set, because their safeties are now good. And the only thing I would say is try to get a pass rusher there, and that's really it. They got pretty solid signings this year, and they're now looking at Bobby Wagner. So, yeah. All right, now we're going to our bad teams. I'm going to hand this one off to Josh.
Okay, so I have a list of 4 teams which I think absolutely did terrible in this offseason. So I will first start off with my number 4. You replaced your problem, but you made it worse because you went all in and you didn't win. I'm going to have to go with the Atlanta Falcons. They are down negative $4 million as of today and over the cap. And they didn't get Deshaun because he chose the Browns instead of them. And they traded away Matt Ryan, which they only gave a 58-second thank you video to, and they gave Drew Brees a whole minute and 12 seconds. And finally, they decided to replace him with Marcus Pass Me the Ball and I'll score my own touchdown Mariota, which is a really good underrated option, which makes them not the 3rd worst team, but they still had a really bad offseason because they couldn't really sign any of the high-end free agents because they were so dead set on Watson. That's why you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Number 3 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. because they ruined the wide receiver market. Now, I'm not saying Christian Kirk is a bad wide receiver. I'm just saying that he's not worth $84 million. Jacksonville, you got to quit handing out money and then turning around and playing Moneyball because you had cap space. You just spent it stupidly. And let's just go how the old saying goes. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Because of that, you had to cut, I think it was Josh Allen.
Miles Jack.
Miles Jack, okay. You had to cut Miles Jack, and then he went to the Steelers for way less money because you guys couldn't handle your money and spend it wisely. And finally, no, wait, not finally, we still got a couple more teams. My number 2 team is the Kansas City Chiefs. You lost Tyreek Hill because of cap trouble, and now you are trying to replace him with Juju and MVS. Now, they are really good receivers, but they cannot replace the value that Tyreek Hill had on the team. The Legion of Zoom, the only person there now is McCole Hardman, and I don't see a receiving core of Juju, Kelsey, MVS, and McCole Hardman to win me any more than a divisional round playoff game. So, Mahomes, good luck because you are going to have a really tough road ahead of you. You're probably going to have to restructure in a couple of years to even be contending again. So, my final team is the Green Bay Packers. This has been a storm brewing for so long. I don't know how they didn't see the warning signs coming. You paid Rodgers all that money. You kept on losing playoff games, and you kept on drafting horribly every single year. We need a second option wide receiver. You draft a quarterback in one of the most loaded wide receiver classes that there was in the past couple of years. We need an offensive lineman, and you draft a corner, which you don't need. So, this has been going on for a while. I don't know how you haven't been fired by all the shareholders of the Green Bay Packers, but Aaron Rodgers, he needs to get out of there, and your GM needs to be fired. This can't keep happening. You had to trade Devontae Adams because Aaron Rodgers wanted all of the money. And you guys just lost almost your entire team. So Rodgers is going to have to carry even more without his first option. So I think that you are the biggest losers in the offseason. I'm going to hand this off to Zach.
All right, my number 3 team is the Kansas City Chiefs. They got worse while their entire division got better. That's a big problem with this Chiefs team, and they try to replace Tyreek Hill, like Josh said, with very not pretty good. They're not nice options with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or MVS, he likes to be called, Juju Smith-Schuster, and I'm not going to say McCole Hardman because they didn't sign him, but that receiving core does not sound good, like Josh said. They also didn't do anything defensively to deal with it. They lost the Honey Badger this year, and he was playing very good in their secondary. Now they have no one in their secondary, and now they're going to have to deal with Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton a year. Now, that's not even mentioning tight ends like Darren Waller and Gerald Everett. They're going to have a hard time, and I don't even believe that they can win a divisional round because of how bad they are. My number 2 team is the Panthers. The Panthers didn't do anything this offseason, which is the biggest problem. They have a lot of cap space. They had a lot of working room, and they could have improved this team a lot more. Now, I do believe that they're going to probably get Malik Willis in this draft, but he is not ready to start. And they don't have an option for quarterback, which is the biggest problem. They thought that they were going to get Watson, which would have solved a lot of needs, and they probably would have been where the Browns are on my list. But they didn't get Watson. They just squandered it. So, yeah, they deserve to be number 2. Next I have is the Falcons. This is my number 1 team. Falcons have been in negative cap. I'm not gonna knack them on the Calvin Ridley stuff. They have no control over that. But they do have control of contracts, and this is from the past in 2017. This is from other years just messing it up. They had a chance to win a Super Bowl, and that Super Bowl window has slammed shut. Now they only have Kyle Pitts and A.J. Terrell to work with. No one really else on that team I really believe in to help this rebuild. Cordell is just a cool thing just to have to just make Falcons fans happy if you guys are even alive right now. So, yeah. Alright, now my number 4 team. The Green Bay Packers. I want to say this for years. I hate the Packers, and I'm surprised, and I'm very happy that they're not going to be good. Aaron Rodgers has no pass catchers other than Randall Cobb, which is a very big problem. They lost a lot of pieces on their defense, especially a big one being Zadarius Smith, and they're just in a bad situation. My number 5 team is the New England Patriots. They didn't do anything except for re-sign Trent Brown and a couple other people, but it's not impressive, especially where the Patriots were at, losing Dante Hightower. I believe maybe Kyle Van Noy. No, not Kyle Van Noy. J.C. Jackson, Devin McCourty, and all of them. They were losing a lot of people, and they were only able to re-sign Trent Brown and I believe Devin McCourty. So good job on that. Next is the Titans. They didn't really do anything too much, and I can't really. They're in a bad situation, especially with the Tannehill contract. But I'm not happy about what they did in this offseason. I feel like they have really disappointed a lot of people on what they have done. My next team is the Indianapolis Colts. The problem is they had money and they could have spent it on some good players like J.C. Jackson. Like they could have made a Khalil Mack trade. They could have made a lot of good trades and trading away Carson Wentz and maybe getting I don't know, Russell Wilson or someone else. They could have used that more to their advantage. Now they have this decent team, but they have no good people to they have a good defense and weird offense that's pretty bad. So I don't think the Colts are in a good situation, especially with their money. Their money is almost perfect. They don't want to spend it, which is the biggest problem. They need to spend it more. And my last team is the Jags. The Jags made moves, which I enjoyed, but they overpaid for those moves. Like, for example, Christian Kirk. I've watched so much of Christian Kirk, being a Cardinals fan, and he is not worth top 4 wide receiver money. That's a little too high for Christian Kirk. Not a little, that's a lot too high for Christian Kirk. And it's really disappointing seeing them overpay for players because Christian Kirk, they could have gotten a cheap deal, and then they could have gone in the draft a guy, and then they could have keep building on that. But then instead they overpaid for Christian Kirk. And if this does not work out, this is probably going to be one of the worst signings. Not for Christian Kirk, for the Jags. And that does it for my list. What about you, Jack?
All right, let's get into the biggest losers of the offseason. We'll start out in Green Bay with the Packers. So, main issue with the Packers is they signed Aaron Rodgers to a mega deal, so the cap's going to be going down, and their team can't get any better at this point. All they really did is lose. They lost Devontae Adams. They lost Zadarius Smith. Now, some people survived, like Rasul Douglas, Devontae Campbell, Preston Smith, all getting re-signed. But ultimately, for a team that has Super Bowl expectations, I don't think you're going to be able to do that with your current situation. There's not a clear avenue for this team to significantly improve itself and escape the NFC. And even if they do manage to somehow escape the NFC without Devontae Adams, that means they're going to probably get destroyed by whoever shows up at the AFC. There's just major problems that they didn't address, and I'm really confused. Aaron Rodgers got signed to a lot of money, but they're really not getting better, so we'll see what happens on that. But overall, they didn't do much at all. Second big loser is the Jaguars. I respect their effort, but they went out the wrong way of getting talent. A lot of overpays. I don't hate Brandon Scherf signing. I think that was solid. He's a good guard. You pay him the money. But Christian Kirk was a major overpay. The other one was Zay Jones, I think, also got paid a lot of money to be like the 4th wide receiver. But pretty much all Jacksonville's really done is built a receiving core of number 2 and number 3 receivers. They didn't really get anybody that separates themselves from the pack. I like some of the signings here. They signed, that's a fun name. He led the league in tackles, though. The Fosade Akun and Foley Fotkasi. Those two are like solid defenders, but slight overpays. I don't mind paying the linebacker all that money, but Foley, it's a little much. But the main issue is overpaying for a bunch of people and then losing like Miles Jack because of it. Like, did you really have to sign the Falcons linebacker and swap to cut Miles Jack? That feels like you didn't improve. You sort of just stayed the same, but you have to pay the linebacker a little more money than you did before. And then the main issue is just comes down to overpays. We'll see how they address the draft. They do have the number 1 overall pick. And finally, last but not least, the New England Patriots. This is not good at all. First off, they really didn't make any moves at all. Their moves came last year for the most part. They added Mack Wilson in a trade from the Browns, and I believe Ty Montgomery, Terrence Mitchell. So those are 3 guys, not really impact guys by the looks of it. But they did lose a lot. 2 starting guards, to be exact. Shaq Mason, solid, underrated right guard. Shipped him off to Tampa Bay for peanuts. Very questionable decision there. Now add on to that, Ted Karras, off to the Bengals now. Another solid guard that's gone. And not to mention, your engine of the defense, all-pro CB J.C. Jackson. The main issue with New England is they need to get better and build around Mac, and they sort of did nothing. He still doesn't have really any receivers for the most part, besides Jacoby Myers, and the interior of his offensive line just significantly declined, which is a concern. So overall, they're also a major loser. Let's go into the underrated losers. One of them is the Kansas City Chiefs. Losing Tyreek Hill, you're never going to be able to replace him, truly, like 100%. So that kind of hurts you big time. You also losing Honey Badger. You replace him with Justin Reed. That's one of the few reasons that they aren't going to be in the top 3 losers. They were able to replace some of these players, unlike the other losers who just sort of sat and did nothing after players left. But overall, still, you're getting worse. You're not going to be a bad team necessarily, but you went from Tyreek Hill and Tyrann Mathieu to Justin Reed and MVS and Juju. So that's not really an upgrade either. Another big loser is the Cowboys. I don't really think they made enough moves to be considered a winner. They lost Amari Cooper. They lost Randy Gregory in a very strange situation where he signed with them and then didn't sign with them. You lost Cedric Wilson, underrated receiver. You lost Connor Williams, underrated starting lineman. And you really didn't add a lot. So all you did is make Dak's life harder and made your cap situation needs to be fixed. So you're a loser too. Cards is another underrated loser. This is mainly because they didn't really get better necessarily. They sort of just stayed the same. They were able to keep some of their own for the most part. James Conner, Zach Ertz. So they kept their offensive core together, but I don't feel they did enough as much as they should have. Specifically now, edge and corner become kind of needs you need to address in the draft. We'll see how that plays out. And then last but not least is the Colts. The Colts had a lot of money and didn't do much with it. They got Carson Wentz out and they acquired Yannick Ngakoue, so I'll credit them on that. But other than that, not a lot going on for the most part. I understand trading for Matt Ryan is a big thing, but with the way the AFC is structured right now, I could name 9 quarterbacks in the AFC that are better than him right now. That's not to mention any second-year or third-year quarterbacks that could potentially take jumps over Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan just doesn't move the needle for me. We'll see if he can somehow turn back the clock a little bit. Maybe they can get something going, but overall, the Colts are kind of just running through veteran quarterbacks right now, not really improving their team. Their only real good move was probably Yannick. So those are my losers.
All right. Well, that does it for our video today. If you liked it, you should hit the like button. If you have any bad teams or good teams, put it in the comments below. If you stayed this long, you should probably subscribe. We post weekly usually, and we make pretty fun videos. I believe one of our videos coming up will be our mock draft for this year. It'll be really fun. We've been working hard on looking at these prospects. So yeah. All right. See ya. Oh.